Alright guys, so we went ahead and we finished up some relay labs. We now know how a relay works, but we need to start talking about those double pole relays. So my double pole relay and the one you guys will be using will look pretty much like this, or exactly like this, because this should be the exact same model that you're using. So what I want to do is I'm going to draw the schematic up really quickly. We're going to talk about this relay, and then I want to put it on or apply it to a schematic that we're going to be building. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build it, and then you're going to build it and submit a video. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this schematic right here. This one's a little bit different, and again, if you have this relay close at hand, grab it so you can kind of look at it while we're talking about it, all right? So the first thing you're going to see is you're going to see a circle. The circle doesn't really totally matter as far as like, it doesn't do anything, I guess. What's really going to happen is the switches that are going to be drawn over the top of it are what really matters. So what they're trying to do with the circle is explain where the pins are on the relay, because if you pull this relay out, you can see there's a set of pins. So they're trying to show you those pins. But for the most part, you don't really need to know the exact pin it's going to. You just need to know how to wire it based on the switches, right? So the first ones you're going to have are going to have a pin right here, and you're going to have a pin right here. And it's going to come down, and it's going to go into a coil. Now we all know this will be our electromagnet that will change our relay, right? So this one is again labeled, it's going to have an A1 and an A2 here. I'm trying to keep it all small because I got a lot to fit into this space. The next things you're going to have is you're going to have a terminal right here and a terminal right here. Now these are going to be both for your incoming power. The difference being is there is two sides. You have an incoming power for one pole, and you have an incoming power for the other pole. Because remember, there's two switches on this relay that you're going to be able to trip or flip. Okay. So the first one's going to be, let's say we got a top one here and here, and it's going to kind of be drawn like this, and it's going to have a little arrow. Now, right now, these are actually touching. If you look at your schematic really closely, or your relay really closely, those top ones are both touching. The reason that is touching is because that is your normally closed contact. So this one was an 11, and this one is a, let's say, actually let's use the smaller numbers here. Let's use 1 and 8. So we should have our power on 1 and 8, and it is normally closed with 4 and 5. 4 and 5. Okay? Now the normally open sides, the terminals will be right here, and the terminal will be right here. And they'll be just drawn like this. And then like this. Okay? So again, this is the schematic that you could be looking at on the side of your relay right now. What happens is if we apply voltage to our A1 or our A2 terminal, this coil will become magnetized and will actually suck these switches to a different position. So number 8 right now is connected, so it's normally closed with number 5. If we apply voltage to A1, A2, it will go from here down, and it will suddenly be connected to the, oops, let me go ahead and put those terminals on there. We got 3 and 6 is what I have. Okay, so it'll be connected. So as soon as we apply power, 8 and 6 will be connected, and it will suddenly flip down, and then we'll have a normally closed circuit with number 6. All right. So let me go ahead and erase this now. But honestly, this thing is almost no different than the relay we've been working with. Again, it just has two sides or two switches. So the old relay wouldn't have this side, but it would have this whole side. Okay. Schematic's a little bit different, but honestly, they're really close together. So I have no doubt you guys are going to be able to pick this up and really run with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase this, and I want to draw the circuit we're going to be building in this lab. All right, so now you remember we're always going to be using that transformer and that breaker, but I'm just going to draw an L1, and I'm going to have my L2 for line number 2. So I'm trying to figure out how far I can draw over here. So L2. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have a rung that turns on my contacting coil, or not my contacting coil, my relay coil, okay? And what I'd like to do is I want to have two switches in an AND circuit. So we're going to have one switch and we're gonna have another switch that turns it on. What I'm gonna use is I'm gonna have the rotating, the like latching rotating switch. And then I'm also gonna have a momentary push button, and we're gonna do a normally open momentary push button like that are gonna turn this circuit on. So, and then we're gonna go to our relay coil. Again, it's just gonna be circle, and I'm gonna write R1 here for relay 1, okay? And then it's gonna go over, up, and back, okay? So now, because this is a double pole relay, we're gonna have a lot of rungs coming underneath it. I think let's try to do like 3 rungs that are gonna be underneath it. We're gonna have one that is on the normally closed, and I'm gonna draw it first. It doesn't matter which rung you draw first, but I'm gonna do my normally closed one. So remember, the contact coming from this relay right here, because again, this is going to be relay 1, will be a normally closed, and then we're going to go over into let's go over into a green light. So it's like a system ready to run kind of deal. Okay, tell somebody they can push these buttons and turn on the system if the light is green, right? So we're going to come over and we're going to continue on. We're going to have a normally open circuit right here. And the normally open one will again be an R1. So, and we'll come over and let's turn on a contactor. So we got our contactor on there, and I'm just going to label that one M1 for motor contactor or motor 1. And then we'll put green light here. And it will come over. And then I also want to have a buzzer come on. So we're going to have another normally open buzzer like this, and it's going to come over into our audible buzzer just like so. Getting kind of far down for me to draw. All right. All right, again, this one will be on R1. So what's going to happen is we're always going to have power running to our green light if the circuit is turned on. What we're going to do is if we push this button and this button, the contactor coil will pull in, and then this one will become untrue, or it will become open, and then these ones will become closed, turning on my motor and my buzzer. All right? So like I said before, I think you guys really have a good idea on how relays work, and I have a feeling that you're going to be able to just slam right through this lab. So because this is not new, this rung's not new, and this rung's not new, we're just adding more of them. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to go over and I'm going to build that lab or this lab right here. But I'm going to do it pretty quickly. I don't feel like there's going to be a lot of stuff that I need to stop and talk about. So we're going to move through it pretty quickly. And then I'm going to talk about the circuit when we're done. We're going to talk about how to submit it. So if you guys feel like you can just go and build this right now, go for it. Let's go get it started. Otherwise, stick around, watch me build it, and we can hear about how to submit it. But shouldn't be very many changes there. All right, so let's get started. Alright, so at this point I'm going to flip on my trainer, and I'm just going to make sure that my relay works. I believe I hooked it into this one. Yep, okay. So you can see the light is coming on my relay, so I know that my buttons are now wired correctly, and my relay is wired correctly into the coil. So now I can go start building my, my other rungs. All right, so now I've got this thing all wired up, and I'm going to say this is a pretty difficult circuit just because there's a lot of wires. So take your time, put this thing together. I've got extra time in the class to put this guy together. It'll take you some time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and flip my trainer on. And you can see right now, because there is a normally open contact going to the green light. Remember, this was going to be our like green light ready or machine ready light. So what we're going to do now is we can do this as our arming switch, and then we should be able to press, I believe it was this one. Oh, no, it was this one. And you can see that my contact is pulled in and my buzzer's going off. All right, as soon as I let off, the light comes back on. All right, so like I said, it's a little bit difficult, especially up in here at the top of our relay. There's about, it looks like about 5 different wires going into that one. It's pretty complicated. So take your time, try to keep it as neat as you possibly can. And you're welcome to put these wherever you feel is best. This seemed like a pretty good setup to me, but you can do it however you like. All right, so go ahead and submit it, video it, tell me what's happening, submit it, and you're good to go. And if you guys would like, I'll even give you some extra points if you can wire me in a red light for when the system is running. Okay, so a buzzer, a red light, and the contactor will be pulled in all at once. Remember, it's kind of difficult because you only have 2 terminals or 2 different switches for your relay. So try to figure that out, okay? Good luck.